My name's Andrew Cahill. I'm the Green Careers Program Manager at Relay Education. My role involves running programs and organizing programs with the team around providing career opportunities and education for young people around green jobs and sustainable jobs, and also running programs for skilled trades when it comes to clean technology. In a typical week, I work about 40 hours. It is a full-time position, probably 35 to 40 hours. There are some weeks where I'm teaching, and there might be some travel involved as well, so those weeks I will work a little bit longer. But the nice thing about working at a charity and a not-for-profit is they value the time that I put in overtime, and any hours I do work overtime I can use on other weeks and take a day off or a half day off here and there. My work is it's a hybrid model, so I do mostly work from home in a home office, and on those days I am doing your standard computer admin stuff. I'm answering emails and planning for new programs and taking meetings with colleagues and with partners. But there is part of my job where I am out in the field as well, doing some teaching, and on those days I'm doing presentations and I am setting up and taking down workshop equipment. Those days do start a little bit earlier and often end a little bit later in the day. Relay Education is a pretty small organization, and because of that we have to wear many hats in our different roles. So there's a lot of skills that are required for that. I would say organization is really important, really good communication skills, both written and verbally, especially for those of us who are in the teaching roles. Really need to be able to speak well. Teamwork is really important because we are such a tight-knit team and rely on each other quite a bit. That's a really important skill to have as well. And then flexibility is, I would say, the next biggest thing. Doesn't matter whether you're in the office or teaching, you don't know what's going to happen, and there's often things that will come out of the blue, especially when you're teaching, and you need to be able to adapt and be pretty flexible in the moment. Another important skill to have, in my opinion, is to be a lifelong learner. I don't think that education stops once you're out of high school or college or university. You have to always be adapting and learning new skills, and especially in this industry, in clean technology, there's always things changing and you have to stay up to date on what the current technologies are and the current government policies and what's going on globally. So always educating yourself through reading, through participating in webinars and lectures. Those are all great ways to continue to increase your knowledge. My educational background is an honors science degree from the University of Waterloo. I started in a physics program, but that was too challenging, and so did a lot of earth science and biology classes, and got a 4-year degree from the University of Waterloo. What I find most enjoyable about my job is working for an organization and in a role that is doing good for people on the planet. I do believe that my role at Relay Education, we are bringing a lot of positive things and knowledge to people in order to allow us to have a better relationship with the earth, and to, through the education of renewable energy, able to help society, help people get off of greenhouse gases and fuels that have emissions, and move towards a more sustainable way of living. Another thing I really like about my position is working for a small organization. I really know my colleagues very well, and I like to do a lot of different things. My role is not a cookie cutter. I don't do the same thing every single day, and I really like the variety that a role like this at a nonprofit or at a charity allows me to do. There's two things that I find challenging about my job and my work. The first is just the nature of charities and not-for-profits. A lot of the work that we do is dependent on funding, whether it's from corporate sponsors or government funding. But when that funding comes to an end, sometimes our programs come to an end. So I do find that a little bit challenging. You always have to adapt and be constantly applying to new funds in order to keep the organization moving forward. The other thing I do find challenging is just working in the sustainability space. There is a lot of negative stories and negative news out there. You know, knowing that there's a lot of problems and not feeling that people are taking them seriously. But to overcome that, I always like to talk to my colleagues. We're very like-minded. We're all working towards the same cause and the same mission. So that always helps me if I am feeling down or like the task is too hard. But another thing that keeps me going is knowing that there are many other people, I'd say millions of other people around the world, working towards what they're passionate about in their sustainability role. So they might not be doing renewable energy education, but they're doing other things that are helping the people and planet. And I know that us at Relay Education we've got the renewable energy education piece covered. So I know that part is moving forward, and we can control what we can and trust that there's others out there doing what they can. The starting salary for someone in a project manager or program manager role is probably $50,000 to $60,000 a year as a salary. When I started at Relay, I was a facilitator, but I did change roles and move up. So I did start much lower, closer to $30,000 a year. Charities are different than the private sector, and so a project manager for a company or a corporation is likely going to be making more, but there are different perks at a charity, maybe a little better work-life balance. My role at Relay is kind of unique, and so there aren't really, I would say, comparable jobs too much. My role has changed a lot just from my own skills and what I want to do with the charity. But in the nonprofit sector as a whole, there are a lot of job opportunities, especially for people who want to get a feel for an area, whether it's environmental conservation or education with the public. One thing at my role is to educate people around the jobs that are available in clean tech and in renewable energy. And so in that regard, there are a lot of job opportunities especially for young people who really want to do something that's going to make a difference and also has that futuristic technology side to it. So whether you want to get into solar panels or wind turbines or batteries or hydrogen electrolyzers, there's a lot of interesting jobs and interesting work being done. Relay Education, the work that we do really relates to climate change and climate action because we're trying to inspire kids, teenagers, adults, people of all ages to be more sustainable in their life, specifically by using clean, non-emitting energy sources, whether it's wind or solar, and increasing the public awareness and education around those technologies and around the science of how those energy generation models actually can help us limit the amount of emissions that we are putting up into the atmosphere and reduce the amount of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases that are in the atmosphere. My biggest tip when you are looking at getting a job or starting a career is to utilize your network. Your network is all the people that you know, whether it's friends or family, neighbors, people through community organizations. Those are the ways that I have found jobs, and if I'm being honest, I've handed out many resumes in the past. I've never gotten a job from one of those moments. All the jobs and experiences I've gained are from people I know, and them connecting me with someone at an organization or at a company. But it's really important if you are networking, and even not to do it in a serious manner, but just to make sure that people around you know what you're looking for. not often the person that you're talking to who'll have the opportunity, but it's someone that they know, someone in their network. So if you're not talking to them, they won't know what you're looking for. They won't know a way to help you. And everybody wants to help you. That's another thing that I would want to remind everyone out there, is that people want to see you succeed in your job and in life, but they can't help you if you're not verbal about that, and if you're not letting them know what you're looking for. So it's very important, if there's something you really want to do, to make sure that people around you know that you're interested in that, or know that you want to gain some experience there, and they will keep an eye out for you and an ear out for you, and they will help you out if they have the opportunity, because they do want to see you succeed. At Relay Education, we do have a lot of programs for people who are looking to get into renewable energy, especially in the trades. So I encourage anyone watching to check out relayeducation.com and to go to our Green Careers page to see any upcoming programs that are happening, whether they're happening close by or virtually. I encourage you to come out and to engage with us. Thanks for watching. Bye.